first major award would have been the Grammy Awards. That would have been in '66, I suppose. That would have been the first one. Yeah, Grammys won 2 that year. We hosted a lot of award shows, and we wrote all of our material whenever we did. There may have been writers for other parts of the show, but Harold and I always wrote our parts, and the way we loved it. We thought it was really unique, a unique opportunity to have 4 guys hosting an award show, which is something just unusual. It just never had happened before. Maybe it hasn't happened since. As far as I know, I don't see them all anymore, but it was fun to do. We liked doing it. It was another facet to our career, and it probably set us up to do our TV series that we did for 7 years. I'm going to say the very first one, the Grammys, the first year we won the Grammy Awards. We were brand new in the business. We were working for Johnny Cash, and we had Flowers on the Wall, and it was a major hit. And then the next year it was nominated for a Grammy. And we were on tour with John, like a 2-week tour in Canada. And the awards, the Grammys came up, and we liked to have gone to the Grammys, but we were working. And John got wind of the fact that we wanted to go, and he came to us and said, "You all need to go because I know you're going to win. You all need to go, leave the tour, go to Nashville, do the Grammy show, and then come back the next day. You only miss one night." We said, "Hey, that's great. Yeah, we'd like to do that." And we did. He said, and just before we left, he said, "And don't forget," and this tells you the kind of guy he was, he said, "Don't forget, anybody on my show that flies, I pay for." So he paid for us to leave the tour, fly to Nashville, get our Grammy Awards, and fly back, and only miss one day of the tour. And it was very memorable, and more memorable probably what happened behind the scenes. That tells you the heart of Johnny Cash. That would have been a CMA award show. And yes, we were to present the female vocalist of the year. So when they gave us the list, we said, let's do something a little different. Nobody's ever done this before. Let's sing the nominations. So we wrote a little melody, and we got all the names in to rhyme and to present properly. And I think Reba won that year, if I remember right. And it was different. It was totally different. It was a great hit of the show. It was much talked about at the time. It was on a CMA award show where we hosted, and that was in June, I think, of '82. That's about right. And then the next day, we went over and did a hee-haw. So actually, the hee-haw show was the very last performance that Lou did with, and Jimmy, if you can see him in the background in the band playing guitar. Well, the Opera House is so much more technically ready. That was easy. You walked into, we were there, when it was switched over, went from Ryman to the Opera House. So that is so nice, and it's so convenient. The Ryman, though, has so much history. And when we were doing the Johnny Cash show, we were practically living there for about 3 years when we were doing the ABC TV show with Cash. And they had to bring all that equipment in, and it's sitting in the aisles, and you got lights, and you had to bring them in. Everything was portable. Had to build dressing rooms and what have you. So they had to turn it into a TV studio, so to speak. And it was pretty fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. And you could hear traffic going by if you listen real close on that particular show. But it was great. Some of the great years of my life when we did that. We always liked doing hee-haw. It was fun doing the show because we got to see folks that we didn't usually see. Roy Clark was an old friend, so we spent time with him. And Buck Owens. I can remember the last time that we did it, we spent a long time with Buck, just sitting and talking between songs and between scenes. And because it was filmed, most of it was filmed without an audience. So you go in, you spend the whole day there, and it was just the cast and the crew and what have you. And it was fun. And Archie Campbell. I'll tell you an Archie Campbell story. He was quite a character. Many years ago, of course, Archie was one of the head writers on the show and a regular. That's what made me think of him. Many years before, we just gotten into the business, and we're out in California doing one of those in LA, probably one of our first times in LA. And we're doing one of those all-star TV shows or recording. I can't remember exactly what it was, but a whole bunch of Nashville people were there. And we were rehearsing for 3 or 4 days. So one evening we get through, and the four of us, Harold, Phil, Lou, and I, the four of us, and Ray Pilla, who was an Opry guy, and Archie Campbell. We walked, after dinner, we walked down the street. We're walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and all of a sudden there's a movie premiere going on. Crowds have gathered on the sidewalk, and the limousines are pulling up, and Gary Cooper's getting out, and Gregory Peck's getting out. And we thought, well, hey, what did we just walk up on there? So we stopped, and we were watching all this. And Archie, every time a limousine would pull up, he would get down and look in the window and holler, "Betty Davis!" And then the next one would pull up, he'd holler, "Betty Davis!" And of course, Betty Davis never showed up. But this was a lifelong joke with us and Archie. And then whenever we'd see each other years after we run into wherever, we'd always point at each other and holler, "Betty Davis!" Yeah. Anyway, he was quite a character. And it made he all fun. What I remember we made fun in Nashville was restaurants. We'd go out to eat all the time. If we finished a record session, that night we'd go out to eat, a bunch of us. And if we finished doing a TV show that day, we'd go out to eat. And Nashville got some great restaurants. It did back then, all through the years, and still has some wonderful restaurants. So we would always find different places to eat. And a lot of those places that we hung out and ate a lot at are now out of business. They're just gone. But those were the kind of things we did. You got to sit around the table and talk and solve the world's problems with all your friends in Nashville. That's what we enjoyed doing. Everybody made a blooper sometime or another. We all did. I think the most memorable one to me was a musical blooper when we were doing the opening song for the show, and we were doing "I've Been Everywhere." And we had recorded that song, and you got it all on the first take because it's fast, and we did it in 4-part harmony, a lot of it, and it was kind of a tricky little thing to do. Well, we did it as an opening song and blew it. I mean, the first time out. And we laughed, all right, let's start it over. We started over. And we must have done it 6 times that night. And I think we finally wound up on the floor laughing by the time the last one. I think there's clips of it floating around out there, as you can see. That was the most time-consuming and the biggest and the funniest blooper to me that we did. We worked Las Vegas for a few years there, quite a bit. And we worked at the MGM, and we also worked at Hilton, and played in the main room. And what I remember is when we were at MGM, we would always seem to follow Dean Martin. He would go in for his week or 2 weeks, what it was, and then we were always the next act. And that happened, I don't know, so many times. And when it did, we were such big fans of his, and had worked with him. So we'd go to his show. The night before ours would start. His last show, and then our first show would be next day. And we'd always go to his show that night. And he would always introduce, the last time we'd go back and visit with him backstage, and he would always introduce us from the stage. And he'd do it the same way every time. He'd say, "And we have with us 4 beautiful boys from the Shenandoah Valley, Virginia." And that was kind of his little routine, and we'd laugh about that. But those are nice memories. And I enjoyed Vegas pretty much. Jimmy and I liked working Vegas. Harold and Phil didn't like it. They liked, when they finished the show, get on the bus and go to the next town. So that's why we didn't continue to do it any more years than we did. But it was fun when we did it. of things. We owned a chain of restaurants one time called Black Welders Barbecue, Virginia and North Carolina. We went through with that. We were in and out of real estate and all kinds of different things that we did. Conway said to me one time, Conway Twitty, because he had some dubious things too that he did. He owned at Twitty City and all that. And sometimes those investments can be money eaters. And he said to me one night on a bus, we were sitting talking, he said, you know, if we'd have all just kept all the money we made singing, instead of trying to find investments, we wouldn't have to worry about anything. Now we got to worry about those investments. It's just something else to worry about. And he was so true. Everybody was looking for something else to get into. And he had it simplified. Thanksgiving to me begins it all. That's first you got turkey, and the very next day it's jingle bells, and it's away in the manger because it's the season. They run together. But I love that, and I love that you can go right immediately into one from the other. I am a rapper, but I'm not a good one. I'm not good at all. Debbie does all the rapping here, and as far as what I have to rap for her and things like, that's why I have granddaughters. They're very good at it. I'm not a decorator at all. The house is always beautiful, but I'm quick to tell everyone I have nothing to do with it. I just live here. A lot of acts would do concerts from, late November into the Christmas day. We never did. I thought that would have been fun. I've often thought that would have been fun to do. You got to work December if you do that. And we had kind of a thing. We started early on that we didn't work in December. Maybe the first couple of days, 1 or 2 days, and then we would take off for Christmas the whole month. So we would have had to have worked up closer to Christmas Day, and that kind of cut into the family seasonal part for us. Probably it was easier to write a Christmas song because you already got your idea, you got your theme, you've got something to write toward. Whereas if you just sit down any other day of the year, you got to come with an idea. So yeah, probably Christmas was pretty easy, and it's very enjoyable. It was fun to do. A lot of good plays we saw over the year. We loved New York. We'd go often, and we saw the plays, and for the music itself, it had to be the Music Man. I loved everything about it. It was so well written. All the songs were classic, except for Shapoopy. You can mark that one off. The rest of the songs were just absolutely classics, and that is my favorite play. I've enjoyed retirement immensely. I wasn't necessarily pushing for it when we decided to do it. I was still pretty young, but I've been retired now for, at this point, 22 years, and or 23 years maybe it is now. And I've loved it. I've been doing other things, been writing books. I've written 12 books since we retired, and I've spent so much time with family and with grandkids growing up, and it's just, but I'm so glad I'm here and I didn't miss all of that by being on the road. Sticks no plugs. It was a marble game, and shooting marbles was a big deal when we were growing up. What you do, you get a dirt spot and you draw a circle in the dirt, and then you and I shooting marbles, say, and you put 6 in and I put 6 in. Then we shoot them out, and whatever you shoot out, you get to keep, because that's how you trade marbles. And if you shoot with your shooter, which is always your prize marble, you shoot it and it sticks in the ring. Inside the ring, you can holler, "Sticks, no plugs." And that means that somebody can't shoot your shooter out of the ring and keep it. Or if somebody hollers plugs before you holler "Sticks, no plugs," then they can shoot it out and you've lost your favorite shooter, and then you're just heartbroken. Yeah, I have songs that weren't recorded, but as I go back and think about them or look at them, the reason is obvious. They probably weren't good enough. So no, I don't have anything that I think, boy, I wish somebody had done this. I wish the Stattlers had done this. No, they're just, they're where they're supposed to be in my notebook. We were big joke players. There were a few probably that I recall, and I might have written about this in one of the books, but that happened when Jimmy came. I had apparently a habit of saying things on the bus like, man, I'd give $100 for a Three Musketeers candy bar right now. And maybe a few days later, whatever was on my mind, I'd give $100 for a Hershey bar. And to do that. So Jimmy said to Phil, he said, the next time that Don says I'm going to have a candy bar there. So Jimmy we stopped along, I don't know, some truck stop. He bought one of every candy bar that there is. And he was collecting these and putting them in a bag back in his area of the bus, so that the next time that I said something like that, he was going to, hey, wait a minute, he was going to lay it on me for $100. So Phil, thinking this would really be funny, Jimmy told Phil that's what he was going to do. Phil decided, I'm going to double trick. He tells me. So we got it all set up. We get into Jimmy's stuff one night and we pull out a candy bar, a Baby Ruth candy bar, and hide it, or I eat it or whatever. But the next night I say on the bus, I said, boy, I give $100 for a Baby Ruth candy bar. Jimmy shoots to the back of the bus. And he's back there digging through everything. I know I had one of them. And he can't find his Baby Ruth candy bar. And that was funny. The joke was turned on him, although he was going to do it to me. Things like that, but you know. I grew up as a big fan of Debbie Reynolds. I was 10 years old. I was in love with Debbie Reynolds. She was the hottest thing in the country, an actress, hit records and all kinds of stuff. So at this time, Debbie was working in Vegas. And we talked about, hey, she'd be a great guest. So we got in touch with her. And she was working in Vegas, had one night a week off. And she was working it constantly. Sundays, the only time she's off. And we asked her to come do the TV show. And she said, sure, I would love to. But I can only do it on Sunday. But I can fly out of here on Saturday night, as soon as my last show, come to Nashville, do the show, and then fly back on Monday morning, and I won't have to miss any days because I can't get off any day on Sunday. Nashville doesn't work on Sunday. Nashville closes down. The unions, because if you want a musician or if you want a cameraman or any kind of crew, it's like double or 2.5 times scale that you got to pay. It's impossible to do something like that on Sundays. So, or it wasn't in that particular day. I don't know what it's like now, but we had to say no. And she couldn't come any other time. She wanted to come. We wanted her to come, and I'd have loved to have had Debbie Reynolds. Seldom. We would always use something we'd record. I can't remember one that we did probably before we recorded it, and it was You've Been Like a Mother to Me, a patriotic song that I had written. And we did that. We wrote it for I wrote it for the 4th of July shows that we were doing at Stanton. And I think we even sang it at the White House. There are pictures of it when Reagan had us at the White House. And we sang it there because he made comments on the song and what it meant to him. And I think that was all before we recorded it. But that's about the only one I can think of that right off. No, anybody can sing bad. Yeah, it really was on. You know, doing the road hog was the easiest thing in the world because nothing was off limits and nothing was bad. You couldn't get bad enough. So you get to do anything you want to, and no, it wasn't particular. But the musicians found it too. That when we did the session, they found it funny too, and they just played all kinds of wrong notes and chords and everything else. So it was fun. It wasn't hard, but it sure was fun. Oh yeah, Pat Boone. Pat's still around. We grew up with Pat Boone. He's a friend. As a matter of fact, he wrote a foreword for one of my books a few years ago, Piano Days. And I was always a fan of Pat Boone. And then he wound up being like a regular on the last couple of years of our television show. So we worked with him a lot. And it's kind of fun when you're a hero as a kid, and then you become friends. And then I mentioned Dean Martin, who was big in that particular way too, and we worked with him a lot and had a relationship there. And yeah, those people, that kind of stuff is fun when your heroes become your friends. Oh, it would have to be, let me stay with him, Christmas, Away in a Manger. I love it. I love the two melodies. I love both of the melodies. I love the words. It's peaceful. It's the most peaceful song in the world. And as far as a secular song, I would have to say I'll Be Home for Christmas, even above White Christmas, because I think of when it was written, when it was recorded, which was in the 40s during wartime, during World War II, and what it must have meant to the soldier and to the people at home when they heard that. I mean, that was just a no-brainer. It had to be something that everybody related with. Beautiful song. I read Jimmy's book before anybody else did. I wrote the foreword for his book. And yes, I love it. I'm glad that he did it. He talked about doing it for years, and he would do different drafts of it and all that sort of thing he was working on. And I'm just so happy for him and so proud of him for doing it, and I recommend it to anybody that wants to have a good read.